Sure, working is very important. It's very important to be financially independent in this world where everything almost operates with financial currency, right? So I think it's completely alright, completely okay to want to work. And the need to work is, of course, there. However, work for who? You always talk about the importance of working, but you've never ever seen who do you have to work for. Look in today's culture, it's 9 to 5 almost every day, and it leads you to a mundane lifestyle. Do you really want to be in such a repeated cycle for years and years to come so that you might financially get financial freedom when you're 60-ish, and then you have finally time for your kids, then you've finally time for your parents, your aging parents. So is that really all worth it? And then now let's look at what it takes to get into a 9 to 5 job. You need to slave all of your years as a student, studying, getting the best scores, getting the best grade, getting the best certificates to provide to your employers, only for them to say, huh, you're just like me, you're employed. Regardless of what job you're working at or what kind of job that is, you're just going to make a business richer. So why isn't your goal to be in charge of the business? Work for yourself. Build a brand for yourself. Why do you need to work for other people? I mean, sure, financial difficulties may happen pretty suddenly, and therefore you might need money expeditiously, so it's okay to get employed. It's okay to get a taste of the matrix. However, I don't think it's completely smart to slave your way off in a company for a boss that you might or might not have met before. And it's very funny to see some people actually being so passionate about the job that they do. They walk around the whole day, they complete tasks, they run errands, they file documents, they print documents, all just because they're going to make someone else richer. If you could use the same energy and put it into a business of your own, imagine how rich you would have been. And of course, this is something that takes a lot of time, takes a lot of capital. So if you're telling me that you're only working right now just to build capital to finally start your business, that's completely alright. But it's dumb if you're saying you're going to work for the next 40 years just to get capital. You don't need that much of capital. The world is online today. Look at the streamers nowadays. They're not very smart. They don't have the certificates that I'm talking about. They don't have the education. They don't have anything. They just set up a camera in front of them, speak, or have a social media page, post content, and that's how they become rich. And it's fascinating to see people not believing in this. The times of electric cars, they've passed. We did not believe in them. The times of cryptocurrencies have passed. Y'all did not believe in them. Now it's social media. I genuinely believe it's social media. And if people still choose to be ignorant, then continue being employed. I think it's nice. It's nice to be specialized in a particular craft. It makes you very respectable. However, the sacrifice that comes with it is insane. And it's not just, oh, this is a sacrifice for the strong. No, the sacrifice is genuinely dumb. If you ask most retired people, I genuinely believe that they're going to look back and say, A, either they might say, I have the money now, so I'm providing for my kids. I think it's alright. Or B, no, no, I'm dying. So that brings me to my next point. Your lifestyle is what they say your lifestyle is. Think about it, you get trapped in an office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And think about it, you can't really do much. If you want to be very smart and then sneak your profession into the job, whenever you have breaks, you just do some little bit of edits, or whenever you have breaks, you contact clients or whatever. There's only so much that you can do. Once they catch you, that's it. You've got to go back to work. You've got to slave all of your hours away. Everybody has a goal. Everybody has a dream. You might not know what your goal is right now, but you're definitely passionate in some area that you can make a change in, but that's being suppressed because of generational fed ideas onto you that you have to work, be employed in order to provide for your family. And that's just how it's been going, right? So your lifestyle is the major sacrifice here. Some people are completely okay with it. But for people that have things to do in their lives, like people that wish to worship God their 5 times a day, if you really want to do that, I don't think most organizations allow for it unless you're employed by an organization that devotes to it, devotes to the cause of your religion. Then that's completely okay. And a lot of people say matrix. They say these kind of terms a lot on the internet. But when you think about it, it genuinely is a matrix peppered with other businesses. How do I put this to you? It's a matrix, and it's even more messed up because in the matrix, they have the intention to trick you more. Think about it, right? You come into office at 9 a.m. and then you open up your laptop, you start typing some emails, you start checking your emails if there's any new work to do. And then if there's no real work to do, you take a lean back, take a breather, and then you think to yourself, okay, so what am I going to do today? What else do I have to finish today? What does my boss want? Then you sit back and you continue working, slaving for that very 5 hours, and then when the work finally gets dismissed, you go to the lift, you press the lift button, you go inside of the lift, you go down, then you start walking out of your office, and then the first thing that you see when you turn left is McDonald's. Now that's not really healthy, so we turn right, it's Subway. So we don't really feel hungry, right? So we walk straight to the MRT and then we keep walking and walking, and then we see a gym. Today's not the best day to work out, so we continue going into the MRT and then we see a drink store, a fruit juice store. The life that they trap in you in that very office, when it's finally being released, when you step out of the office, and then they tempt you with these businesses and these opportunities to spend money, you are going to spend money. And that is what they want. They want to trap us and they want to free our souls deliberately timed to perfection, and then they want us to spend money on these things that they have deliberately placed outside of our offices. And that's no other way that a matrix can be as low as it is. But I'm not saying matrix is entirely wrong, because you can use it. A very wise person also said you should know where your enemy wants you to go. What did he say? He always allows manipulation because he can know where his enemy wants him to go, and he uses that to trap his enemy. Something like that. So that's very important. It's very good to understand the matrix. Once you've understood it, now be on the very top of the matrix, which is to start a business. There are genuine further setbacks for businesses that the higher level of the matrix does, which is the government. They slap all of these charges, taxes, rental onto you, but at least you're not at the bottom of the barrel, which is being employed for a company that you have complete no passion for. So working for someone else makes two people's dreams come true. Your bosses, and once you exit out of the office, that business, those businesses, they are getting happy. And if you're making them proud only just to get pennies and peanuts, just to make your family feel proud, that is not going to be very viable. And let me make this point. It's completely okay, as I mentioned before, to be employed for the sole purpose of getting money immediately for your immediate expenses. But once you've identified the purpose of the matrix and how it's running, I don't think it's very wise for you to continue staying in the matrix. Everybody has a passion, and especially in most countries, in Singapore too, they encourage the idea of businesses. So I'm not discriminating anyone who is currently employed, because they are pretty much the backbone of our society, and that's very, very important. And more importantly, to all of those fathers out there working, that's completely respectable, and I wish for you the best. I wish for you to get abundance of wealth and risk by God. However, that should be stopped at them. For the very next generation, identify other ways of making money. I don't think being employed is the only way that you can get money, although that's being fed into your mind completely. If you don't believe me, look at your generations and look at how they've been earning money, then take a step back. Although you've been believing to yourself that you have to earn money in that way, still take a step back and then realize what's happening. Realize who is really making money. Realize, are you really making money in today's economy? You get 4 to 5k, and then within the 13th day of the month, you've got like $20 left. Why? How are people that are significantly less intelligent than us earning more money than us? So clearly, intelligence is out of the picture. However, they've managed to convince us that intelligence is the picture. You have to get all of those certificates. You have to study that particular course in uni in order for you to get a very good job which pays very well. And that's dumb, right? You want to get something that pays very well. Why don't you think, who is paying the person that pays? Why is the person that pays, why is he rich? Once you've identified that, then you would have a slight hunger towards being the person who pays. And if you've managed to do that, if you've understood that completely, then you would realize that your current desire of earning money, which is thus being currently employed, will all be diminished because now you have a greater desire. And I believe that's more masculine, that's more responsible of you to go and seek for something higher to provide for your families. And it's not the most respectable thing for you to stay safe because you're just being selfish and you want to provide for your current self, your immediate family members, and not for the generations to come past. So think about who you're serving, think about your purpose in life, and ensure that you're fulfilling it by identifying the correct things that you're doing in life, which is understanding the matrix. So in 2025, do you really have to work? Sure, for yourself.